Hey guys, welcome back to FPL. This is the Game Week 28 Preview. Game Week 27 has just finished on Wednesday and the scores haven't updated yet. But I finished the last game week on a rank of 4,100k. And this game week I've just checked livefpl.net and it looks like my rank for this game week is going to finish at 3.5k. So that's a rank increase of about 16%, which is pretty good. It's a small green arrow, nothing to shout out about. But I'm still going to be in the top 4K for this week, so that's really good. I was in the top 3K briefly by the end of the weekend. But then after the West Ham game and then the City game, I fell back into the top 4K at the end of the week. So not a bad position to be in, just happy to sort of maintain that rank for now. So let's have a look at how my team did for this week. So I started off with double Villa defense, and that was pretty good start to the game week. So they both got clean sheets, Martinez and Target, which is quite nice. Martinez with the bonus point as well. And other players that did well for my team was my Spurs players. So I had Son and Kane. And Kane just returned an absolute monster haul. It was probably one of his biggest hauls this season. So he got 21 in game week 2 and then he scored 19 points. So second biggest haul of the season. Bit of a shame I didn't captain him in the end, but I was always going to go with a double game week player. And Son picking up an assist, which was nice. And I had Fernandes. So a lot of people actually took Fernandes out this week. So his effective ownership was less than 100% this week, which is pretty good because he got 10 points. So that was actually a small boost for me and for other people who had Fernandes as well. But on the whole, not much else going on in my team. I mean, I captained Gundogan, who just got a goal in the last game against Southampton, and he's probably going to get a bonus point as well. So that'll take his total for the game week to 10, which is reasonable. So that'll double to 20 points. But really, the stars of the show for the City game against Southampton were KDB and Mahrez, absolutely hammering those points in for those who brought KDB in. And I said that he would be a good differential for this week. So congratulations to people who brought him in. And now let's look at the rest of the team. So let's start with the Man City double defense. So it didn't go to plan. I think a lot of people had two defenders going into this double game week thinking there'd be at least one clean sheet. But to not even get a single clean sheet is pretty disappointing. I think Cancelo has just disappointed so many of his owners. I mean, he gets taken off at a 60-minute mark in the first game, doesn't even play in the second game, 1 point for him. And Diaz, the only good thing about him is that he keeps his place for both games, so he's probably just going to be starting every game now for City, which is good. But I think the City double defense in general is just a no-go at the moment, so I'll talk more about my plans with them later on. Salah, again, he's just in a really poor run of form, but so are Liverpool in general, but he didn't get any return. And then what was really disappointing were my Leeds players. So Rafinha and Bamford, had high hopes for them, really. I thought they could at least get something against West Ham. And I think Bamford actually did put a goal in the back of the net. And it was off a Rafinha assist, but he was offside. But then in the rest of the game, he missed quite a few easy chances, which is really frustrating because what that would have done is not only I would have got points for Bamford and maybe even a Rafinha assist, but it would have eliminated the West Ham clean sheet, which was actually, it actually hurt my rank quite a bit because a lot of people had players like Cresswell who did really well in that game. So, real shame I didn't get any points in that Leeds game. But, small green arrow, so happy to stay at around the top 4K for now. It's becoming really hard to move up the ranks at this stage because most people actually have very similar teams. My team looks very template on the face of it. There's not many players that I've got who are less than 10% owned. Target at 14% is probably the lowest one, really. Or probably even Rafinha at 10%. But I've got no one really who's a differential in my team. So something to look at after game week 29 when the fixtures change a bit. And then people can start being a bit more creative with their team selection and their transfers. So for now, I'm just going to have to stick with this team, really. It's a bit template, but if it's getting me a small green arrow every week, then that's fine. I think if you had the likes of Bale and Kevin De Bruyne, who I mentioned last week, if you had those two players going into this week, then those players were really good differentials, and that would have seen you get a really good green arrow for this week. And they're probably good options for the next game week as well. So that's a good place to move into the Game Week 28 preview. So this is how I'm lined up for Game Week 28. I've got 2 free transfers, and going through my team, I've got Martinez in goal. So he's got a good fixture against Newcastle, and I'm sticking with my double Villa defence there. So I've got Target and Martinez. Newcastle on poor form. They don't have Wilson, so I'm not expecting them to score against Villa, but you never know. It's always risky when you're playing a double defence, but the upside's always very good. As we saw this week, Villa kept the clean sheet, so I'm hoping for more of the same against Newcastle. And to complete my backline, I've gone with my double City defence. Now, Cancelo gets rested against Southampton, so I'm expecting and hoping he's going to play against Fulham. Diaz, I'm hoping, will just keep on playing, so I'm hoping both my City defenders are going to start. Now, Fulham, they can score against City. I mean, Man City haven't been keeping many clean sheets, actually, in the past few games. So no clean sheets in the past 4 games, actually. So Fulham are actually on a bit of a upward spell at the moment. They're, completely different team to how they were at the start of the season, being Liverpool. So they've got every right to score against Man City. So I'm not that confident with the City defence anymore. I think going forward, Cancelo is going to have to go for my team. And I'm probably going to do that in Game Week 30, because in Game Week 30, Man City have got Leicester, and I think that's a really good time for me to do Cancelo out to a Chelsea defender. So Chelsea have got West Brom that week. So I'll be looking at the likes of either Rudiger or Azpilicueta or Alonso. Can pretty much get any of them because Cancelo's about 6 million himself. So no real issue for me there to get a Chelsea defender. So that's probably what I'm going to do in Game Week 30. But he's had his rest, so I think he is going to play against Fulham, and it's not really a priority transfer for me to do that right now. And then going into midfield, I've got Salah again, poor run, but it's a bit of a luxury move to transfer him out this week when he's got Wolves away, and it's the last game of the game week, so it's always nice to have a player playing in the last game. It always gives you something to look forward to. And Wolves away again. Wolves not the greatest of teams at the moment in terms of form, drawing their last few games, so I think if Liverpool are going to start showing any signs of life, it might be against Wolves in this game. Definitely not taking Salah out this week. I'm going to reassess maybe in Game Week 29, where I could bring in players like Aubameyang or Bale. So they're players I'd be looking at in Game Week 29 for Salah, providing this run of form that Liverpool are on just continues, because he's a lot of money, and I think there are better options out there at the moment, but I'm just going to hold on to him this week and see what happens. Gundogan, happy with him. Still good value at his price. Picks up a goal against Southampton. So, again, not really a priority transfer at the moment. Happy to just go with him until after the blank fixture. Then I've got Fernandes, who I'm happy I held. He's at home against West Ham, so that's a reasonable fixture for him. A lot of people who got rid of him are probably regretting it a little bit, not too much if you've gone for Bale or KDB, because that transfer was fairly justified, and probably is this week as well. And then I've got my Spurs players, Son and Kane, who are Spurs in general, just looking really good up front. And against Arsenal, now that could be any kind of game. There could be loads of goals in that game. It could be a drab, 1-1, something like that. But North London derby, and I think if Kane, Son and Bale play, there's a very good chance that Spurs get a few goals there. So I'll touch more on that when I discuss the captaincy. And I've got Calvert-Lewin. He's coming back into my team. He's got Burnley at home. He's been disappointing ever since I brought him in that double game week. He hasn't actually returned for me yet. And probably the main reason for that is because Ancelotti's moved Richarlison more central, and Calvert-Lewin has had to go out wide more. So that's diminished his role as a target man for Everton. So this is probably going to be it is going to be my last week that I have Calvert-Lewin in my team. He's going to go in Game Week 29. I'll discuss that more in my transfer section. And then to complete my lineup, I've got Bamford playing up front. So that's a good way to discuss what I'm going to do in terms of transfers. So I've got 2 free transfers banked. Okay, so I've got to use 1 transfer this week. And in terms of my starting 11, the worst fixture on paper is Bamford. He's got Chelsea at home. And I can't really play anyone else who has a better fixture than Bamford. I mean, Rafinha, again, he's playing Chelsea. Dallas is playing Chelsea. And the only other alternative I could play is Burn against Southampton. But Brighton aren't keeping clean sheets at the moment. Not really expecting clean sheet there either. So I've got to make a transfer here, and it's probably going to be Bamford out. Now, the two players I'm looking at the moment are Watkins. That was probably always in my plans really for Game Week 29 and 28. And the other player I'm considering to get in is Antonio. So if we look at the fixtures for Game Week 28, if I bring in Watkins, now he's got Newcastle away, which is a good fixture for this week. And if I bring in Antonio, he's got Man U away, which is a harder fixture on paper. And then if we go into Game Week 29, Watkins would have Spurs and then Antonio would have Arsenal. And I think in Game Week 29, Antonio has the better fixture there. I think West Ham can score against Arsenal. I even think they could get something against Man U. So at the moment, I am leaning towards Antonio at the moment because Grealish isn't quite fit yet for Villa. And I think without Grealish in their team, they're really struggling for goals. So unless I hear something about Grealish becoming fit, I'm probably going to lean towards getting in Antonio this week. I think he could get a goal against Man U. I think he could score against Arsenal as well. He's got a very good record of scoring against the big teams. So that's where I'm leaning at the moment. And then in Game Week 29, what I'd probably do is then get either Bamford or Watkins in for Calvert-Lewin. So it's a bit of a... I mean, you could argue that's a bit of a waste move because I'm getting rid of Bamford and then potentially bringing him back in Game Week 29. But I've got a transfer to burn, so I might as well just make one where I can either get Antonio in because I might even keep him after Game Week 29. West Ham are looking pretty good. So that's my transfer dilemma at the moment. So now we'll just move on to the captaincy. And again, this is going to be a difficult one for this week because a lot of people are going to have the likes of Fernandes, they're going to have Kane. Some people may even have Kevin De Bruyne. So the captaincy is going to be interesting this week because there might be a bit more of spread with captaincy choices. So at the moment, I am going with Kane and I've got my vice captaincy on Fernandes, but I think they're both good options. They're both on penalties, both the focal points of their teams. I just think the Arsenal-Spurs game has the potential to have more goals than the Man United-West Ham game. Now, I think the Man U-West Ham game could be a little bit more of a cagey affair. Both teams are on good form. West Ham are not conceding many goals at the moment. So I think in terms of points potential, Kane and Fernandes for this week are similar. But after Kane getting his monster 19-point haul, and with Bale and Son playing in that Spurs lineup, I just think that attacking threat is just better at the moment compared to Man U. So I'm going to go with Kane, I think. I think other options, people are considering the likes of Kevin De Bruyne against Fulham. Fulham, again, posting good defensive numbers. So you're always going to have to deal with a bit of pep roulette when you're picking their players. So it's always a bit nerve-wracking when you're captaining a City player. But I think KDB, after his brace, is a really good shout. And I think the other really good fixture for this week is Chelsea against Leeds. Chelsea looking very, very dominant in the league, conceding very little, and now they're starting to gel more together as an attacking force as well. So I think players like Mount and maybe even Werner or Havertz are really good differentials for this week. Again, Tuchel is known to rotate his squad. He does a lot of squad management. He likes to keep all his players fresh. So a bit of a risk going there, but if you're looking for that differential captaincy, then that's probably the match you want to go for. So I think I'll leave it there. So that's my plan at the moment. Plan is to do Bamford out to either Watkins or Antonio. Probably going to be Antonio unless I hear something about Grealish coming back into the Villa side. And then I'm going to roll the other free transfer into Game Week 29. Captaincy is going to be on Kane unless I see something that persuades me that Bruno is better. But yeah, I hope you all have a good game week. Let me know if you want any advice on your teams. Just put it down in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, please click the like button and subscribe. And share the video on social media platforms. You can follow me on Twitter at AK_FPL. Hope you all have a good game week, and I'll see you all in the next video.